I witnessed lethality. I met a junior airman as the sun was going down and a chill was setting on the tarmac, who, when asked what they needed, she simply looked up at me with a sly smile on her face and said, "More bombs, sir, and bigger bombs. We will happily oblige her."
That didn't happen. He totally made that up. I don't believe that for a second. Unless he was talking to like a Persian diaspora member, then I will believe it. But that was Pete Hegseth, our Secretary of War, giving one of his, unfortunately, far too frequent press conferences on this war against Iran. Now, he usually makes statements that lack any substantive information about the Iran war, which is why I don't think he should even do these press conferences at this point. It's embarrassing for the American people. Case in point, take a look at this.
How long until the objectives are achieved? And is there a scenario where a deal is struck before the objectives have been achieved?
Sort of military 101. Don't tell your enemy what you're willing to do or not do. And don't tell your enemy when you're willing to stop. Especially an enemy that likes to hide in bunkers and try to hoard their missiles and hope you'll wait you out. So that's not a question I'm going to answer, or the president has said definitively. We have our own goals and guidance and things military objectives that we're moving toward and things that we look at. And as he's articulated, he's said 4 to 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, 3. It could be any particular number, but we would never reveal precisely what it is because our goal is to finish those objectives, and we're well on our way.
Didn't this war begin with you guys saying that it's going to be a quick war that'll just take a few weeks? What are you doing? Okay. Hegseth was then asked to comment specifically on a statement that Trump made recently about how maybe I give up on opening the Strait of Hormuz. Maybe these European countries who need this oil so badly should do it themselves. So he gets asked about that. Let's see if he could muster some substantive response.
I think the president was clear this morning in his truth that there are countries around the world who ought to be prepared to step up on this critical waterway as well. It's not just the United States Navy. Last time I checked, there was supposed to be a big bad Royal Navy that could be prepared to do things like that as well. So he's pointing out this is an international waterway that we use less than most, in fact, dramatically less than most. So the world ought to pay attention and be prepared to stand up. President Trump's been willing to do the heavy lifting on behalf of the free world to address this threat of Iran. It's not just our problem set going forward, even though we have done the lion's share of preparation to ensure that that strait will be open, which is an outcome the president's been very clear on.
Well, lion's share of preparation? What's the lion's share of preparation? What are you talking about? The president of the United States, who was dumb enough to get dragged into a disastrous war against a country with a formidable military, is saying, oh, I just destroyed the global economy. I'm not gonna do anything about it. Why doesn't Europe do something about it? What preparation? What is you doing? Like, what is this? This is so crazy. I genuinely can't believe how embarrassing this whole situation is. It's so embarrassing. And remember, guys, it's not just about the Strait of Hormuz. This war has destroyed critical oil and gas infrastructure in the Middle East. So even if, best case scenario, which isn't gonna happen, this war ends this week, the bombing stops, it's gonna take some time to rebuild that devastated infrastructure. The other thing I'll just say is, please stop lying to the American people about our energy independence. Please stop, please stop. We're talking about the global oil and gas market. So unless the Trump administration is going to show me evidence that they are going to implement export controls so these private companies in the United States don't export resources to other countries, I'm not gonna believe for a second that the US is not gonna be harmed by this. But more importantly, guys, the export controls aren't gonna happen. If they do happen, they're not, but even if they do happen, that's gonna cause a lot of problems as well. This is a global energy market, okay? It doesn't matter if we are drilling more. This is a commodity. This is a resource that is sold globally. Less supply and demand staying where it is or even going higher is gonna make the situation worse. This is like economics 101. It's very easy to understand it. So this whole idea that like, oh, they should just buy our oil. The point is there is limited oil. There's limited oil now because of you guys, because of what you did. At one point, Hegseth was asked what he would tell Americans. This part is very amazing. So he was asked, like, what would you tell Americans who really don't like the fact that we're engaged in this war right now? They're totally against it. By the way, many of Trump's supporters are against this war. I'm not talking about people in positions of power, Republican deal brokers and all those people. No, I'm talking about actual Republican voters. Many of them are unhappy about this. So what would Hegseth tell them? Take a look.
I don't understand why the base, which they have already, they understand, wouldn't have faith in his ability to execute on this. Look at his track record of pursuing peace through strength, America first outcomes. And what he's simply saying, and it's exactly true, and I've said from this podium too, we're not gonna foreclose any option. You can't fight and win a war if you tell your adversary what you are willing to do or what you are not willing to do, to include boots on the ground. Our adversary right now thinks there are 15 different ways we could come at them with boots on the ground. And guess what? There are. So if we needed to, we could execute those options on behalf of the President of the United States and this department.
I have a lot of empathy for people who have substance abuse problems, addiction issues. Like it's devastating for a lot of people, and I don't want to make light of it. But that's not going to stop me from saying that we shouldn't have an alcoholic in the executive branch making decisions about war and peace. We invaded Iraq with 250,000 soldiers. We currently have 50,000 soldiers based in the Middle East right now. We had around 40,000. Trump sent another 10,000. I don't know, I guess in preparation for a possible ground invasion in a country that's much larger than Iraq, in a country that has a much more powerful military compared to Iraq. What are we doing? And what are our goals? Like, I want to understand that real quick. What are the goals? Because so far we have replaced Khamenei with Khamenei, his son. Okay, congratulations. And by the way, I'm not in favor of regime change wars, period. I don't think that it's up to us to decide who the leaders of any sovereign country should be, period. That's not a commentary about whether or not I like the IRGC. It's none of my freaking business. It's a foreign country and it's a sovereign country. And it's up to the people of Iran to decide.
Look, I know a lot of people are exhausted by the news right now. And honestly, who could blame them? Every outlet has an angle. Every story gets twisted to fit somebody's agenda. And if you're just reading one headline, you're probably not getting the full story. If you want to know what's really going on, you have to be able to see how the story is being framed. And that's why I recommend Ground News. Ground News is an app and a website that pulls together reporting from across the political spectrum so you can compare coverage in one place. Take this story about the FBI investigating an administration official who resigned over the Iran war. One outlet wants you thinking about Trump and the bigger Iran context, while another one wants you focused narrowly on the alleged leaks. Same story, but a very different message depending on who's telling it. And Ground News makes that obvious right away. You can compare headlines side by side, see the biased distribution of the coverage, check the factuality ratings of the sources, and even see who owns the outlets reporting on it. They also have a blind spot feed, which shows you when one side of the political spectrum is barely covering a story at all. And that matters because sometimes what they ignore tells you just as much as what they choose to cover. If you want to stay informed without getting played by the media spin, I think Ground News is a really valuable tool. Go to ground.news/TYT or scan the QR code. Using our link gets you 40% off of the Ground News Vantage plan. Don't let them shape the narrative for you. See the full picture for yourself.
If they want to have an organic uprising, great. But we should not be involved in agitating that situation, which is what we did by implementing sanctions to destroy Iran's economy. Okay. This guy has no idea what he's doing. Pete Hegseth has no idea what he's doing. He was a talking head. He was like a weekend anchor on Fox News. Trump likes his hairline and decided to make him the Secretary of Defense / Secretary of War. He is playing with the lives of our service members. Do you understand that? Our service members' lives are being toyed with right now by an alcoholic. And it's not just Hegseth who's cheering on utter stupidity. His former colleagues are doing the same. So look, I wanna go to this next video. It's a Fox News clip because it just kind of shows you how out of control this situation is and why there are some Americans who think what we're doing is the right thing. It's because of media bubbles like the one that you're about to experience.
The bottom line is when this ends, Iran cannot be in control of that strait. They can't be decided in a month or two, oh, we're gonna shut it down again. This would be an ongoing display of power. So hopefully the USS Tripoli will answer that.
The president really has never taken anything off the table in terms of what he might be willing to do. So really it's come down to the 60% enriched uranium, which I would argue precipitated the president's decision, as explained on this program by Steve Witkoff, and probably opening up the Strait of Hormuz. We have Marines on standby, anywhere between 3,500 and 5,000. Those seem to be the two final objectives.
The Strait of Hormuz was open for business prior to the US attacking Iran. So Trump goes in and he breaks it. And now one of the objectives of this war is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and try to take control of it, which, how are you gonna do that? So Israel, which of course dragged us into this war, will not commit a single IDF soldier to fight on the ground. By the way, that's what they're saying as they're egging on US boots on the freaking ground, okay? And with 50,000 troops in the region, how exactly are they gonna take control of the Strait of Hormuz? How is that gonna happen? You know, Sean Hannity's such a military expert. How exactly is that gonna be carried out? We're cooked. We're cooked. And anyone who ever believed a single word that came out of that helmet hair guy's mouth, and I'm talking about Hannity, needs to really reconsider their media diet. Enjoy the extremely high gas prices.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.